Folks, welcome back. My name is Rudy. You're watching Alpha Investments. What we do here is we talk about cards, the world of cardboard, we report the news, things that tank, the things that skyrocket, and the things that nobody cares about. Today we're going back to the world of Magic the Gathering, only on vintage reserve list stuff. I know it's been a while. I know, it's the anti-game piece conversation. And I am surprisingly interested to report that the major Kingdom, Castle, City, Moon game companies, the revised dual lands are at approaching a multi-year high, being led by Underground Sea and Volcanic, actually having buy lists over $500 cash. We're not talking about credit. That's $700-800. To have the buy list over 500 is the first time I've seen that in a while. Just so everybody knows, the low for like an Underground Sea, a Volcanic, the Tundra, the blue duels. Some of these lows were pretty drastic. Like Underground Sea's lows was like, the buy list wasn't 550. It was down to like, I think 325 or maybe 330, 340 range. And they could have even hit 300 for one point. I didn't check it every day. So to hit a low in the bear market the last 2 years with Magic 30, Cynthia and Dr. Cox and their Jets, I mean, to go from that low 300s to over 500 that's a really big price swing in the last 3 to 6 months. And that's been a really, like, kind of moment. I mean, it's not dramatic. It's not, Underground Sea to 1K. We're not there. But it's interesting to finally see some bids and some money flowing back into the world of Magic. Now, what we're not seeing is a lot of the alpha beta cards are still not going up, the ABU stuff. I mean, revised dual lands are usually the early indicator or leading market indicator. Arabian Nights, Antiquities, Legends, Four Horsemen type sets. We have a couple, singular cards we can take out of context. Say, look, Rudy, that one card's going up in Arabian Nights. It's all going back. I mean, we can spin it that way. But yes, there's a couple cards throughout these Four Horsemen sets that are kind of on the uptrend. But overall, it's not as potent. And there's not enough depth to it compared to like looking at the revised duels, kind of the most common benchmark cornerstone of the reserve list. The most important land cycle, the original duels, the most available version, revised edition, 3rd edition, and of course the most monitored ones, the 10 dual lands. So those are, the most important beacons to keep an eye on. And it's surprising to see, even the non-blues, the Badlands, the Bayou, even like the Plateau. I mean, to look at the cheaper ones, to see them actually jump up like that from their lows, some of them are almost doubled from the lows, especially the cheaper ones. But, the percentages are different because the pricing or the dollar amounts are smaller. We're still not seeing a major follow-through with, like I said, a lot of the other high-end cards. I mean, you have cards like Bazaars, Libraries, Workshops, Tabbies. These things are still holding their own. They're still very expensive cards. You want a really nice, Workshop, it's still going to be that 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 range, depending on the details of the card. Same thing with a Bazaar. Tabbies are still going to be, maybe in the low 2,000, all the way up to 4 or 5. It's a perfect, quad, ultra, 5+ signs with a 10 and a 6/9. But I mean, we're not seeing a lot of strength in legs, not a lot of market movement, not a lot of velocity moving there, but it's doing fine. The only other category besides the dual lands that is still showing the best signs of life for the old cards is going to be those commander playable cards. The Urza's era, the Tempest, Stronghold, Weatherlight, Exodus era, kind of those playable, some of the lands, the Cradles, some of the, it's interesting to see the playable cards maybe lead the way. We talked about this about a month ago. We did a similar video. But this time around, it's interesting compared to even 45 days ago. The buy list prices on a lot of these cards have been raised higher than they were 45 days ago. So it's nice to see it follow through like that. I do want to jump over to one other thing, and that's the sealed boxes. Well, obviously going through 2 years of a crash, the prices of vintage sealed boxes and new sealed boxes continue to be, how do I say this? Pretty shitty. It's still pretty rough, okay? Like the vintage boxes, especially the kind of the weaker tier stuff, the Visions, Rudy's favorite Weatherlight, even Alliances. I don't even know if it's considered a bad set. Alliances is like a legendary set in my eyes. They are nowhere near let's see, Visions, like Weatherlight, Alliance, even Mirage. Even the Urza's boxes are nowhere near the recovery. I haven't seen upticks in those at all. But it's been really interesting to see kind of the rejection of the recovery of those sealed boxes. And it does also show, like a lot of you all out there with your little game piece hats, a lot of you all who believe that, it's just kind of investors and collectors holding those. Well, we went through a downturn, and a lot of people who needed money were forced to flush out and dump. And now those items are sitting on the market or illiquid or not kind of moving. And it's interesting that money's not attacking that, or money's not attracted to it right now. I'm not sure what variable is going to be required to, make that part of the market kind of come alive. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. It's nice to see some upticks in some of the reserve list cards, but I still have seen zero overall mega money whales moving in the market. Like, we've seen bids, cards uptick in the old stuff. There's revised dual lands, great. We've seen stability in some of the old sealed boxes, even like revised booster boxes and starter bricks. They're not doing that great. I mean, those things were at a high of like 20 grand a box for a revised starter brick or a booster box at the peak in 21. And they're nowhere near there. There is a ton of sealed revised on the market, and it doesn't sell very well at all. And the prices, they just sit and rot on eBay. Maybe they get price dropped or whatever. There is very limited bids and interest in those kind of items. Now, to step away from picking on the old stuff, even the newer stuff is still bucking that same trend right now. If we look at even just, let's say, new sealed Magic from, let's say, before the 2020 distorted goofball era where we all became morons. Let's say between 2015 and 2020 range. That era of the Kaladesh, Khans of Tarkir, well, I guess after the Gate Crash era. Let's just say from like Khans of Tarkir, Fate Reforged, Dragons of Tarkir, Shadows of Innistrad, Eldritch Moon, Kaladesh, Aether, Amon Kitty, Hour of Devastating Your Ex, Ixalan, Colorful Dinosaurs, Rivals, Dominaria, Guilds, Allegiance, War. Did I do good? I know I missed some stuff. But I would say that era of Magic, or some people call it the Bronze Era, before we hit Flashy Era of 2020, that era was, they were all, $100 boxes, and they all moved up to like the 150 were the weak ones, and then 200 were the average, and like 250, 3, or even 4 for the super S tier, Kaladesh kind of thing. And now, coming back through that crash, all of that era that moved up, we've seen the same retracement back down, where we've seen the same, if you're lucky, 10% drop, but most of them drop between 20 and 50%. Because we had like Kaladesh at 450 at the peak, and then Kaladesh is back down to 300. I mean, that's a 25-35% swing on just drop. Still no recovery. Battle for Zen and Oath of the Gatewatch. I forgot that block. When you look at that, still, like, let's talk about some other ones. Like, even like Guilds of Ravnica and Allegiance that were, I sold those boxes to patrons and you all. $89. No, that was $79 before all the inflation and goofball insanity. Back in the day, I was selling Guilds and Allegiance shipped for $79. And, I sold a lot of it to you all. I would say at least, 5,000-10,000 boxes maybe. And, those boxes ran, went out of print and went up to 100, 110, 120, probably peaked at like 150s, 160s when you factor in the shipping or taxes or fees or whatever website you're looking at. And those 150 boxes are probably back down to like 110, 120. So even those boxes have dropped 20, 30%, and they are not back towards their highs. Now, again, you say, it's 2024, Rudy, so if Guilds of Ravnica went out of print in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2020, that's 4 full years, Rudy. And if I bought the box from you for $79, 80 bucks, I'm sorry, patron fees, $82.50, 82, 83. If I paid 83 a box, and even now it tanked back down to 120, even if I sold it on the back alley without online fees for even 110, paying 85 and selling for 110, that's not very good. What is that? Like 25% return in 4 years? You're averaging, 5% a year? Again, and honestly, Rudy's point of view, I think it's pretty damn good to come through a crash and still be positive. But that gives you, it's all perspective. Now, of course, if you bought the high at 150 because everybody was investing and collecting and everything, because we all had free tendies in 2021, if you paid 150 for Guilds or Allegiance, Well, I mean, and now it's at 120, or if you sell it online, you're going to net 105. Yeah, you're going to be negative 25%. So once again, we can spin things however we want, and we can make some people feel happy or angry, but overall, we are seeing revised dual lands hit multi-year highs on the stores and the buy lists, and actually the demand of these big stores wanting to absorb inventory. They're looking to buy inventory, and they're raising their prices. That's why Rudy uses it. People say, why does Rudy use the buy list? I can't, the average person can't use the buy list. They don't pay those prices. And my answer to that is, well, again, Timmy, if you put down the taco and if you actually listen, it's about it's a confidence indicator. It's a credibility thing. Because it tells me when these big stores, it tells me that they're willing to deploy money, and it tells me they have extra capital and they don't have much of revised dual lands, and they feel we need to have more inventory for our websites or events or local or whatever, and we're willing to pay for them. And we're not getting enough because maybe people are selling elsewhere because we're not paying enough. So you can deduct, you can infer a lot of things when stores, the big boys, the Snowballs and Moon Cities, when they raise these prices, okay, that tells us a lot. That tells us that they have the money to buy. That tells us they don't have enough inventory, otherwise they would lower it because they don't want to buy more. That tells us that they want to have exposure to it. That tells us how they feel about it moving forward. Those are the things that matter. It's not the dumbass Timmy saying, well, Rudy, I can't get an underground C in mint condition for $550. I got to pay, $6.99. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the direction and momentum, because we're looking for leading indicators and we're looking for things to help us understand the direction of the market. That's what we're doing. If we're interested in old school stuff, we want to play with old school cards and I need to buy some, you kind of want to know what's going on. Right now, if you don't have any revised dual lands and you've been watching this channel for 9 years, then dude, I'm sorry. Do you have arms? Do you have legs? Are you like a floating head from Futurama? Like, like, what have you been doing watching this channel? This is a channel about cardboard and like Rudy's hair loss and tacos and things and game pieces and Rudy trying to sell you on his shirts, which I guess I can shill for my shirts. Link in below for eBay. I should have 8 left, but I only have larges. All the sizes are gone. And I should have, as of the filming of this video, I have 11 patron slots open. So hey, you don't even have to buy anything. But hey, send me a message. Like, Rudy, I'm a patron now, you son of a bitch. What do you think of this? And I'll tell you. Or you can buy stuff from me sometimes. Up to you. Thanks for watching. That's all I have to say. Conclusion of the video. Things still look good. This market cycle, 2024, it looks good, folks. And I know a lot of people didn't make it through last year. A lot of stores failed. A lot of people gave up. But it really does, it looks pretty good, everybody. And now to see some movement in the old cards and see revised dual lands, historically in the last 30 years, every time we've had upticks in revised dual lands, as long as it follows through, usually that leads to other reserve list cards going up. Because again, when people want old cards, they usually start with dual lands and they expand from there. Usually they'll start expanding to the, their cradles, their grim monoliths, their wheel of fortunes. They're going to start kind of venturing out, and after they get those basic things, that's usually a very bullish indicator that we like to see. As far as new product goes, actually new product is very unpredictable nowadays, because right now we got Carlo Manor, as of filming this, in panic sale mode and doing terrible. It's the first Magic set we've had of the last 6 sets that's come out and completely tanked. So now we're real curious. But what's weird about that is ever since Carlo Manor actually tanked in the collector boxes, like nobody was pre-ordering Carlo Manor. And then it tanks, and all of a sudden the demand and sell-through rate on TCG Player and eBay just flared up really quickly. Like we're talking pre-orders on Carlo for like next to nothing. And then the price comes down from pre-orders of like $210 to $230, whatever it was. And then suddenly the pre-orders tank, or I'm sorry, the market tanks after the pre-orders, and now everybody's buying. And it just, once again, it tells me it's not that people hate the product. All of a sudden, the product got cheaper, and everyone said, oh, well, that price, hell, I'll buy it for that. Anyways, we'll have a follow-up on that. Overall, it's going to be a good year, folks. Thanks for sticking with me. Hope you guys enjoyed everything. I really just want to do a quick video on the reserve list stuff. I know we don't talk about reserve list stuff as much anymore, because I've probably done 500 videos in the last 9 years in the reserve list, and there's nothing new for me to say about it. We've done all the Rudy believes we should expand the reserve list. Game Piece Era says it's all garbage, buy proxies, and I'm a stupid person, and I like to work hard at a job, make money, but I like to buy cards that are worth 0, so my money's gone. You know, the tug of war is never going to end. So it's going to be a good year, everybody. Stick around. Thanks. Am I supposed to tell people to like thumbs up or like subscribe? Isn't that like a use? Yeah, fuck it. Who cares?